Hey, did you know that the color red makes you feel hungry while the color blue makes it easier to trust people? Well, that explains why the color red is the primary color for KFC and McDonald's while the color blue is primary for Facebook. Hi everyone, my name is Sidnesh Rao and I am a freelance designer working in the design industry for the past 2 years, and I have learned a few things about design here and there, and this YouTube channel is my way of conveying those little messages that I have learned and also becoming a better designer over time. I just want to document my process and upload it onto YouTube. Well, this video is not about me or whatever things I am doing. This video is about colors in design. Like it or not, believe it or not, colors play an important role on how people perceive things or how people see things. So that makes it very important for any design in particular. So I'm not gonna drag too much about these things, because if you have logged into this video, I'm pretty sure you already know how important colors are for designing. So I won't stretch too much about this. If you are looking for steps on how to improve your color selection, I'll give the timestamp down below, which you can directly click on and watch those important steps if you just want the points or if you just want the hacks. But before I start into all those things, those are technical, those color wheel, hue, saturation, all those other things, I just want to make you understand why every beginner or every intermediate designer faces this problem in the first place, what causes this problem, and how you can get rid of it by understanding the problem. Because I feel like it's very important for anyone to understand the cause of the problem to actually solve it. If you're not interested in understanding all these things, you can directly skip to the timestamp given below in the description box. The first thing is that design is more maths than art. There is more statistics, there is more understanding, and there is more calculations to design than just following your heart. So the first thing that you have to do here is to stop following your heart when you're selecting colors. Choosing a color for your design must become a calculated process. You should know why you're choosing a certain color and how it will work good or how it will complement your design. All these things must be calculated before you choose a particular color and just not follow your heart. Point number 2 is to stop giving special treatments to your favorite colors. Well, let's face it, we are all guilty of throwing in our favorite color in each and every design we do, and this is something every designer does in the starting process. Me as a designer, my favorite color was black, and I tried to implement or incorporate some black elements in every design I did in the beginning stages. Well, this is not particularly bad because you can experiment with designs here and there, but this is not a good practice in the long run. There are certain things that you can only learn from actual working or actual implementations. But if you don't work with certain set of colors, if you only stick to 2 or 3 favorite colors, or if you only work with one palette every single day, you might become a good user of that palette, but you won't actually improve as an overall designer. And if this keeps going on for a long time, you will probably become a boring designer. The third important setback is to unlearn the extremes. Well, whenever someone is introduced into the world of designing, or whenever someone is introduced into the world of colors and palettes and all these other good things, immediately the person notices a huge range of colors or a huge range of palettes that he has probably not encountered previously in his life. Which means whenever you enter the designing field, there is so much new things or new colors that you want to experiment with in this particular case. So usual conclusion here is that whenever someone is given a huge variety of choices, he will exploit each and every choice out there and mess up somehow. But that's not the case in designing. Usually in designing, when a person explores different ranges of colors, different possibilities, he never actually experiments with those colors. He never tries to use them in his designs, because this person who has just got into designing has never seen these colors in action before, or has never become familiar with such different tones and shades, which makes him worry about this. This looks very foreign to him, and most of us as designers will set back and we go back to using our primary reds, blues and yellows which are the colors that we are very familiar with since our childhood, and this leads to our designs becoming very repetitive because these colors are good. Red, yellow, blue, these colors are not bad, but these colors are also not unique, and these colors also lack character and personality because they have been exploited by designers for years now. Thousands of designers have come and go, and everyone has used these colors. That's why it's important for any designer who has jumped into the field to try and change little things here and there. You don't want to be a boring designer, do you? And the last mistake in this list, using the extremes of color spectrum. Well, of course, there are certain topics like contrast, hue, saturation, all these things, and most of the time whenever you are selecting colors, it's said that it's best to select colors with maximum contrast, while white and black has maximum contrast, right? I'm pretty sure you'll all agree with me. Well, using black and white for different things like print design or canvas design, all these things is fine because it does not cause much problems. But when you are designing something digitally, imagine if you are designing a PDF or a book, if you use white and black in contrast to each other, which means for white background you use black text, or black background you use white text, this particular design will not be something that will be found nice or appealing by a wide majority of the people, because white and black in contrast to each other is very heavy on eyes, and including it in text and backgrounds in this format will make it very difficult for the reader, because he has to stress himself out to actually read the content of your PDF. And this is the reason why white and black in their maximum contrast is not the best choice out there. So these are things, this is an example where mathematics goes wrong, because the better the contrast does not mean better design. You have to understand how people see certain colors, you have to understand the saturation value, how it affects certain colors. You have to also understand the people who will interact with your design in the later run, because if you are targeting the younger demographic, if you are targeting the children or college students, using brighter colors is fine, as they will find it interesting and they will find it easy. But if you are targeting the older demographic, you have to make sure that the design is not very pricky. So these are little things, little sciences that you have to understand, and this can only come from practice, and also can only come by breaking rules while also understanding the design rules very well. So these are the few things that lead to bad color selection for any design, and how you can overcome that. Now moving forward to how to actually choose a better color. The first and the most easiest method in this whole system is to directly pick colors that somebody else has done. The palettes that are already existing on the internet, you can directly pick from them. And there are three major sources that I love to pick from. The first one is Instagram. As you can see on my computer screen, here is one such account, that is colors.com, colors.co with two O's, and this is one of my favorite accounts to select colors from. Or I just send this account directly to my clients and they select a palette for themselves. So it makes the job so much more easier. But you can come here to take inspiration. Even if you are doing some trial projects, you can come here and check these palettes out and select whichever one looks good for you. And this is one good account. There are similar accounts like this one here, color.palette. This is also a very good account. I don't like this account as much as I like colors.com, colors.co, but this is also a good place for you to start. There is one more, this some of you might find useful, which is movies palettes. This account breaks down the palettes from different images from the movies, and this, if you are into poster designing for movies, or if you are into the dark moody aesthetic vibes, these palettes can be useful. But I don't use this for my designing. But I have a friend of mine who is very, like, who loves this account very much, so that's why I'm recommending this to you. If you vibe with it, go with it, but I don't find this as useful as the ones that I have already shown. If these are not the ones, then there is Pinterest. Pinterest has an amazing set of palettes. Like, Pinterest does not give you palettes directly. As you can see on my screen here, Pinterest, it shows different works of different designers on the platform. I like Pinterest because as you can see here, if you want aesthetic palettes, you can directly search for color palettes that are aesthetic, and you'll find a lot of aesthetic palettes here. This makes the process so much more easier, because if you are working for a client who is into sports, or whose business has something to do with sports, you can just add sporty here, and now you have a color palette that are sporty in nature, and this makes the process of selecting colors that much more easier. Because Pinterest gives you such wide options, and the search feature here is absolutely amazing, and also the content on here is by some other designers, so this is not computer generated. That's why it's also, you can be pretty sure that these are the best palettes designed by the best designers on the platform, or people who are researching or who understand the concept well. And that's why it's a very safe place, and I really love coming on Pinterest to find some ideas for my designs or palettes. If you don't want Pinterest or Instagram, there are also these websites, colorhunt.co or colors.co also have their website. These two websites I'll give in the description box. You can go into these websites. They also have a random palette generator that you can use to generate random palettes, which are very useful. As you can see here, you can select random palettes from here, come here, experiment and see if things work out for you. But more than the random palettes, the existing palettes also give you options to search by your liking, like the ones that are trending. As you can see here, popular, or if you want random, you can have a random list, and you can also save your favorites in a collection. Just scrolling by these websites and saving your favorite ones to come back to later makes your life as a designer so much more easier, because later on, when you get more and more clients and more projects, you will have a place to come back to and find your favorite color palettes that you can use in your designs. So this is the easiest method of finding design colors or palettes. So if you are a beginner, or if you just want some different color palettes that you can experiment with, this is the best way for you to come and get your hands dirty. But if you want to do it yourself, if you want to select colors yourself like a true designer, so this is how I do it. This is my process of selecting colors. So firstly, I just go to Photoshop and create 3 rectangles. Here I have already selected a colors. I'll just make all these rectangles gray very quickly. So you have to understand that any brand or any design consists of a primary color and secondary color, and this is compulsory for any brand. There will be a primary color and there will be other colors that revolve around that brand. So you have to figure out a primary color for your brand or your design. This process of selecting a primary color is one of the most difficult one, because this is what you do and there is no starting point here. You have to do it yourself. Usually if you are working for a client, the client will give you a primary color to work with, or sometimes they give you the entire palette. But ideally the client will give you a palette, or the client will give you a wide range, like the client will say blue and you can decide which shade of blue you want. In case you're deciding the primary color, how do you choose a primary color? The first and the most important part for you before choosing the primary color is to understand what every color means. And you don't have to learn that, you just can go to Google and directly search for color meanings. So now you get all these images here, which most of these are copyrighted, so I will not show it. You can search it for yourself, and I don't think this one is copyrighted. So as you can see here, red stands for power, strength, energy, pink stands for happiness, compassion, black stands for formal, white stands for purity, and all these other things. So you have to understand the color meanings, because you have to give a reason for why you chose a particular color. For example, let's quickly create a palette for me. That is, let's imagine I have a brand and I want a color palette right now. I already know that yellow stands for youth, energetic, and all these other things. So I want my business to be more energetic and youthful, and that's why let me go with the color yellow. And that's my favorite color also. Not like black is my favorite color, but second favorite color is yellow. Black or white should not be the primary color for any business. I don't recommend that. If you want to, it's your will, but I don't recommend black and white as the primary color for any design or any design. It's okay for any business, or if you're choosing your primary color for your brand, black and white, it does not work that well. In my case, I already know what color I want, so I'll just enter the value. But in your case, this is not the, this is not how it works. For you, this is not the case. You have to do it yourself, and selecting something here randomly is not an easy task. It requires precision, and it also, you'll be able to select here, but over the period of time, if you are just starting out, it can be a confusing place to be. That's why I usually recommend people to go onto the internet and select for yellow palettes, yellow shades. When you search for yellow shades, you'll find this thousands of images like this. You can check here and see whichever color resonates with you very well. FFD800 was mine. It's not here, so you can see here, you can read these values, and you can copy the hex code from here and type it in your Photoshop or whichever editing software you are using, and you can copy the color from here. So once you have your primary color ready, you have to select a secondary color that complements the primary color. And if you directly search for complementing colors, or if you use a website for, there are websites like this. So this is from canva.com. so here you can directly input your color value, and it will show you the complementary color and its settings or the hex code. So you can directly copy it from here. Well, complementary colors are the best ones to use in the design. I agree on that part, but they're not that effective when you are using it, because everyone is using it, so it is overused. And also, it's complementing means it's opposite of the color that you're picking, and it's very harsh on the eyes because it's very bright, because it's complementing each other. So it's, I would not recommend you pick the exact complementing color. Instead, I would recommend you to pick something that is a bit duller. You can try changing the sliders here to get a good value. But so my recommended way to find secondary color is to enter this website into your web browser, that is mycolor.space. Once you are on this website, if you just enter your primary color here, FD800 in my case, if you just enter the primary color here, it will show you a bunch of palettes that go well with this color. So you will directly have access to palettes that are computer generated, I guess. I don't know if this is some other designer's work or computer generated. I think it's computer generated. So you can scroll here to find your primary color. So as you can see here, there are different palettes. There are 3 color palettes, 4 color palettes, and 5 color palettes also. I personally recommend 3 color palettes with white and black as colors as a part of your palette, but not your color. I'll explain it to you later how it works, but I usually stick to 3 color palettes. So you can scroll here and try to find your palettes. I want it to be white, black, yellow. So see, this highlight palette is something, something I like. This is the look I am going for. So this can be one of my palettes. So you can scroll around here to find your best, find whatever works with you. So for me, I think this one works well. I'll copy this white And that's it. I have a palette that I can use in my designs right now, and this can be my brand palette also. And it wasn't that very easy compared to understanding complementary colors, monochromatic colors, color wheel, color theory. Yes, of course, as a designer you have to understand all those things and you have to know, but if you're just starting out, don't break your head on all those things and waste time trying to find the best one possible. You just have to search the internet is filled with tools that can help you, and once you find a good palette, use it on your designs. And if it does not work, if there are certain tweaks that you can do at the end, you can obviously change the colors. It's not like you select a colors once and they are going to stick with you for the end of your life. So that's how you select a palette. Well, I also told you about using white and black as, you know, tertiary colors, or just keeping them there as a part of your palette. Okay, so now I have another palette. In case this is my palette and I have to use this in my designs, well, there is no any color that is close to black or close to white here. So in this case, I can use my background color as white, or I can even change it to black. It kind of works. See, as I already told you in the first part, if you directly skip to the part, don't use the maximum concentration. So here, reducing the luminance value or opacity of the color black, you'll find a much better color. It's gray. I'm not sure if you can see it. Using a little gray or lighter shade of white can give you another color to work with. That means there are total 5 colors that you can use in your design process. So this gives you flexibility, and also white and black is kind of mandatory colors if you are designing color palettes for websites, or if you're designing a bigger project like if an entire brand. You cannot really run away from white and black because it's gonna be everywhere. You will have to design books, notebooks, you will have to design sometimes packages that are either white and black. It kind of mandatory colors. So usually picking color palettes that don't work with white and black is not a great idea. So most of the time selecting a color palette that does not work with white and black as accent colors I don't think it's a good idea. So all this comes down to personal choice. The more you experiment with colors, the more you will understand these things and you will be able to implement this. This is not rocket science. This is very easy also. So that's it. For this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did end up liking anything that was taught in this video, or if you like my content in general, I would highly appreciate a like from you, because that's important for the algorithm to push my videos so that I get motivated and I can keep creating more and more videos. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace.